auditor's office. So I work in our elections division. I'm the lead for voter education in our team. So most of my job is going around and doing stuff like this to making sure that you all have all the resources that you need when ballots arrive next month. And I will pass it to Leah in this introduction.
My name is Leah Benson. I use she and they pronouns. I'm the ranked choice voting project manager for Multnomah County elections, which I'm excited to get into what that means and why
Hi, I'm Francisca Garvey. I use she, her, it pronouns, and I do a lot of these presentations. I also work on the website, so if there's any time to find yourself going like, wow, I would really appreciate this other resource, I'm the person to talk to you about. So, excellent. Very happy to be here.
Awesome, thank you. So, agenda I already went through, but we're here again, and we'll pass it off to Dan to get started.
Hello again. So before we dive into the specifics of ranked choice voting, we want to talk a little bit about why we have folks here from the City of Portland Elections Office and also Multnomah County Elections, which is where I'm from. And the reason is we're working in close collaboration with implementing ranked choice voting for City of Portland contests. Multnomah County administers elections for every city within our boundaries, including the City of Portland. So, when Portlanders decided to start using ranked choice voting, the County Elections Office started to prepare to administer those elections. So from the county, the things that we're in charge of, as we have here, are voter registration, putting out the voter's pamphlet. We do voter education for the county, including Portland, candidate education for Multnomah County candidates. We do all of the ballot design and ballot mailing and ballot processing, including all of the tabulation and results reporting. So we're the people that you'll look to for results on election night, which we'll get to later. The City Elections Office, what they do is voter education specific to Portland voters, such as tonight. Candidate education for City of Portland candidates, which has been happening throughout this election cycle. Ballot qualification for Portland candidates, certification of city elections, and campaign finance. And where we overlap in this Venn diagram is educating the media with providing voter education, again, what we're here tonight, and for helping to write the Portland Election Code, which we collaborated on really closely after November of 2022 when Portlanders decided to use ranked choice voting. Thanks for having me.
So, as a reminder, my name is James. It's nice to meet you again. So tonight we're going to cover a few things. The focus of this town hall is really on ranked choice voting specifically. There's been lots of changes you've heard about. Afterwards we're happy to answer questions about that. You saw the district map and things like that. But tonight we're going to focus heavily on the ballot, making sure you know when the ballot shows up in your mailbox, what to do with it, and sort of what happens after you fill out the ballot and send it back in. So we will look at how to mark your ranked choice ballot, and then we'll also talk a little bit about where you can go for more information. We don't expect this evening to be the end-all for voter education. This is just a starting point. Hopefully for some of you, it's somewhere in the middle. You've gotten a little bit, and you're looking for a little bit more, but there's always going to be more available on our website and other places. Great. So as I said, there are 3 changes that you all, that Portlanders, voted for in this big government transition back in November of 2022. The first one is the one that we're going to focus on tonight, and that's the switching from a single choice election to a ranked choice election for all city candidates. So that's mayor, auditor, and every city council member. And then we also moved from citywide elections for city council to 4 geographic districts. If you have not already, we have a map in the districts in the back there. Sometime before you leave, we'd love for people to throw a sticker up there so we kind of know where you're from, the people that we're engaging on. It just lets us know, we're getting a big spread of the city and hitting all the districts. So that's for city council members. They're going to be elected by district, 3 of them per district. And then mayor and auditor will still be elected citywide. The last topic that we're not going to cover a lot tonight is that we switched from a commission form of government to a mayor-council form of government. So instead of the city councilors that you elect being commissioners that both do legislative functions and bureaucratic administrative functions, now city council will only be a legislative body, and all the bureaucratic administrative functions will exist under the mayor and a city administrator that works for the mayor. So it'll be a legislative branch and an executive branch, more similar to other forms of government out there. Okay, next. of what the ballot is going to look like when it arrives. Hopefully, if you've been doing our job this summer, you've at some point seen something like this. If this is your first time seeing it, great, that's awesome too. And we're going to walk through how to fill this in and what it means. Now, there are two forms of ranked choice voting that we are using in Portland. One is for single winner ranked choice voting. That's for mayor and auditor. Just means what it says. A single winner will come out of that form of ranked choice voting. The other form of ranked choice voting is multi-winner ranked choice voting with all of the city councilors, and that will result in 3 winners. Now, fortunately for you all as voters, the ballot is no different for those two forms of voting. The only difference is going to be in how those votes are counted and tabulated on the back end, and we'll go over that when we get there. But the important thing really is making sure that when you fill out your ballot, that your vote is getting counted the way that you intend. So we're going to talk a little bit about this ballot, what it looks like, and how to fill it in properly. As you'll notice first, you'll see across the top there are 6 rankings. In Portland, you can rank up to 6 candidates. You don't have to rank 6 candidates. As long as you rank at least 1 candidate, you will have your vote counted. But we do encourage you to rank more to give you more options and more intention of yours being seen on that ballot. Down the left side, you'll see the candidates listed on your actual ballot. These will be the names of people running for office. And then down at the bottom, you'll see a write-in line. There's a single write-in for mayor and auditor, but you'll be able to write in up to 3 people for city council. Next slide. Yeah. So there's a few things about this ballot. I want to kind of talk about some do's and don'ts to keep in mind. But really, if there's one rule that you walk away from remembering, there's only one thing you remember when you sit back down with your ballot and fill it in. It's just that you never want to fill in more than 1 oval per row and column. Okay? So as we go in and we start filling this in, we're going to see that this is filled in properly, so there won't ever be an oval that overlaps any other oval. And that's, as long as you follow that rule, your votes are all going to count the way that you want it to count. Okay? Again, I want to reiterate, you don't have to use all of your rankings. We're going to count your rankings that you do use. If you use 1, great. If you use 3, great. If you use 6, great. But the important thing is that you get at least 1 on there, so you get at least 1 vote in this election. All right? And then if you do choose to do a write-in, you can write in anybody you like, but there's 2 things to keep in mind here. 1, if you write someone in, you must rank them. So simply writing in the name is not enough. Make sure you also rank a name next to it. The second part is, for the first time in Portland, we're actually going to be doing certified write-ins. So what that means is a candidate who wants to run a write-in campaign must be certified before the election. So 7 days before the election, they have a deadline to fill out a form to us saying, I certify that I am qualified to be an elected official in this district, I've been registered there, I fill all the qualifications, and if I'm elected, I'll take that position. We, the elections office, will have that information up on our website before the election so that you know if someone has been certified as a write-in, and you can mark them down knowing that that vote will be counted. If they are not a certified write-in, they cannot get elected through the write-in process. We won't count those ballots or those votes for a write-in that is not certified. Okay? And then the last thing I want to say is, it's really important. Sometimes we hear from people that they're worried, they only want to rank 1 because they're worried, well, if I rank a second or third, I don't want to harm my first vote, and I want that first ranking to really matter. That's the candidate I care about. And it should be. You should always rank the candidate you care about the most up here at the top. But it's important to understand that mathematically, none of your rankings down here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, will have any impact on your number 1 ranking. So don't feel worried about filling in your second or your third rank because it'll somehow impact your first rank. You should always put your first rank as the one you want the most, and then if you still have candidates that you think you would support, fill them in down without any worry about the impact it'll have on that choice. We don't even look at these second, third, fourth, fifth options until this ranking is either elected or eliminated from contention. Okay? So now we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts.
So it doesn't do any good to mark out 1 candidate all over.
It does not, and I'll get to that in just a second, in fact. So the first thing, we're going to talk about a few errors that people make on these ballots and why you should not do that. The first one is something we call an overvote. So this is a person who, they just really like candidate A, B, G, and H. They can't decide. They're going to rank them all as number 1. They're all great candidates. I love the enthusiasm, but don't do this. On this ballot, we have no way as election administrators to tell the intention between these marked options. So because of this, when we look at this, we don't know if candidate A or B is your most favorite. So our only option here is to essentially mark all 4 of these options invalid. So we ignore this entire column. But we still want to try to capture as much of the intention of the voter as possible. So we've written the election code. Oh, we're going to choose not to restart right now. Yeah. All right. So we've written the election code to try and capture as much of your intention, as much of the ballot as possible. So even if we take away this first column, we don't look at it because we have no way to figure out, we're still going to keep looking at each column until we get to a valid vote. So in this case, we can see that this candidacy vote is the first vote that was a valid blue vote. We will look at that, and that essentially will come up to move up to be your first ranking, okay? So if you do that, this is what will happen to your ballot, but we've all learned today now that we're not going to mark more than 1 in a row or a column, so none of you are going to do that on your actual ballot, okay? Now the next thing we'll talk about, this answers your question. So in this scenario, this voter, candidate A, is the best candidate that they've ever experienced in their life. They're not just worth 1 vote, they're worth 2, 3 rankings. You're welcome to do this if you'd like. You may have a candidate that you just love and want to show all the love to. Unfortunately, with ranked choice voting, like any other election in the United States, we have 1 person, 1 vote. That's it. So doing this doesn't give more votes to that candidate. What will happen if you do this? This first column, we can count that. We can figure out that there's only 1 bubble here. So we can tell the candidate A is your favorite choice. They will get your first ranking. That's great. It works out well. After that, these ones don't have any impact. Like I said, the only time we go to rank 2 or 3 is if rank 1, your first candidate, was either eliminated or wins. If that happens, by the time we look at these, it doesn't matter. They've either won or they've been eliminated. So these effectively are just thrown out. They don't have any impact on the ballot whatsoever, okay? But, again, we will continue to look at the ballot and attempt to find valid votes on that. And these votes, these rankings down here, will now be shifted up, just like on the other ballot, okay? So, again, you all know now that you're not going to rank your ballot like that because we don't put more than 1 oval in any row or column. So we're not going to do this, but if you did do it, now you know what will happen. Okay, so if you really, really like a candidate, feel free, but just know that you're not giving them more support than you otherwise would. The one other thing, and actually, can we go back to the last slide? The one other thing I do want to talk about, the other mistake that sometimes happens is what we call a skip ranking. So that's here, you see in this column, in rank 2, they didn't put anything. So, that's okay. Maybe they just didn't have anybody they felt fit the number 2 ranking ideology. That's okay. But we're going to just skip past that and keep looking for something else. So if you leave a blank here, we're going to move past it. One thing I want to warn people about, what sometimes people do is they kind of see rank 1, great, that's the candidate I love. Rank 6, that's the candidate I don't like. I'm going to put rank 6 as my enemy, the one I don't like. Do not do this. Do not do this. Even if you leave everything blank in between, you don't want to put somebody on your ballot that you don't support, okay? This is really important. Never mark a candidate on your ballot that you don't support fully. Okay, this is not, rank 6 is not the worst one on the ballot. It's simply the 6th one you support in that order. Okay? What could happen here is if you were to make this person your arch-rival, the worst candidate you've ever heard of, and then all of these rankings either get elected or eliminated, we could eventually make it so that your vote goes to that person you did not like. So the recourse, if you don't like a candidate, is the same as it is in every election. Don't vote for them, okay? Don't vote for a candidate that you do not want to win. All right, great. Then we can skip ahead. Yes? Are we going to...
Well, you don't have 6 candidates that you like.
If you don't have 6 candidates,
Three you like.
then only rank 3. That you can rank anything between 1 and 6 will get your vote to count. So I encourage you, there's going to be lots of resources to look at candidates. We know that there's a lot of candidates on the ballot, so I know that it's a tough job for voters this year to get the information they need. But I encourage you to rank as many as you feel comfortable ranking. If there are 3 people that you support, you should rank those 3 and leave the rest blank. Don't put anything on there. A blank ranking will not invalidate your ballot in any way, shape, or form. It simply means you were done. You've only ranked the 3 you want. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. Okay, we can, yeah. Now, thresholds. Okay, we're going to elect some people, and we need to figure out how many votes they need to win. So, in our single winner contest, as you remember, mayor and auditor, we're going to elect one position. That means that on the night of counting, when we put all these ballots together and we start counting them, we need 50% of the total ballots plus one extra. That's really easy and straightforward. It's just what we call a simple majority. You're probably used to this because it's how typical elections work. This happens all the time in Portland elections. It makes sense. That's for mayor and for auditor, all right? In city council races, we have a single contest for the entire district, and what we need to get to 3 winners. So, our threshold instead of 50% plus 1 is 25% plus 1. Now the math on this is the exact same for both options. The difference is just the number of seats. The reason that we use this is the lowest percentage you can have, where if we elect these 3 people, it is now mathematically impossible to accidentally elect a 4th person. And I really like, as an election official, when the rules make it impossible for me to screw up. So now it is impossible for me to accidentally give Portland a 4th city council candidate in any district, okay? If we have people, 25% plus 1, you have all 3 of them, they now have just over 75% of the support in that district. So now there's not 25% of the votes left. Even if everybody else votes for a single candidate, they will still come up a little bit short. So, but those 3 candidates we elected will have just over 75% of the support of the entire district. Okay? So this number that we arrive at, it's code, it's written in our, formula written in our, it really just depends on the number of seats. If you did 2 seats, it would be 33% plus 1. If you did 4 seats, it would be 20% plus 1. It's always going to be whatever number gets you to the right number of winners without being able to screw up. Okay? The other thing I want to talk about with why this number is set the way it is has to do with in multi-winner elections, and it's, do I actually have a slide for, no, okay. It's what we call, and I'm going to cover it briefly, because we'll definitely get back to it in the Q&A when we talk about the multi-winner, but it has to do with why this number is set, and it has to do with, in these elections, when we walk through them in a minute, you will see how the tabulation happens, and we eliminate the lowest vote getter, and then those votes get transferred. In multi-winner contests, we'll go into this in a second, so if you're not following, it's okay. In multi-winner contests, we also take the winners, and every vote that's over the top of that threshold, over that 25% plus 1, we will also move those votes to the next ranking on their ballot. Okay? We have to do this, because if we did not, the first thing that might happen is we need to get to 3 winners. We're going to get to 3 winners no matter what. Our code is written that way. But in round 1, if we have a really popular candidate, and that candidate is hugely popular, everybody loves that candidate, they get 80% of the votes in that first round. If we don't move the extra votes, we now only have 20% of votes left over to transfer. So all you're going to get is one candidate with 80%, and then a candidate with 10%, and another candidate with 10%, roughly averaging that. So you're going to have one candidate that's far more support of the district, but the other 2 only have 10% of the support of the district. We want it to be even, so we've written it in a way that those 3 candidates will each get to that 25% plus 1 and share that 75% of support across the 3 of them. Okay? That's a very high level look at that math, even though it's a pretty deep dive for what we normally do. And we'll get back to it when we actually do the tabulation.
So you take some of the 80% votes and put it to another person?
So we take, yes, so if they got,
Could you repeat what the question was?
yes, the question was, so do you take some part of that 80% and move it to the next ranking? And the answer is yes. So if, say we'll use an easy number. So it takes 25% plus 1 and someone gets 50%. So they get double. They get exactly double what the threshold is. They're going to keep 25% plus 1. They're going to keep half of that, and half of that's going to move over. And how we do that, we would break it straight down the middle. So every ballot would have a fraction of their vote, in this case 50% of their vote, stay with who they elected first, and half of their ballot would switch to whoever they ranked next, the second ranking. Okay? I don't want to really dive, we're going to get to questions, and I think when you see it helps a little bit to see the numbers moving around a little bit, so we'll get back to that, but I wanted to put that in your minds so that at least when you see it, you're seeing it again, and it's not, hold on, what is this? So, okay, with that, I am going to pass it off to Francisca, and she's going to walk through some election data.
Yeah, and so you actually kind of did this. Raise your hand if before coming here, you went on our website and you clicked on the events tab and you went and looked up the details for this event. exactly. So you helped choose that, and triple chocolate brownie was the next highest rank. So we used that mock collection to choose those 3 flavors, and those 3 ice cream flavors needed to reach a threshold, and if you go to the next one, we'll see it more. So at the time, I took this screenshot, the threshold was 45 votes. In all the rounds, you see this is round 7, rounds 1 through 6, we eliminated the options, the flavors that had the least amount of votes. So in this one, we look and we see cookie dough is actually our least, lowest ranked one with 23 votes. And so we know we need to eliminate that one. So what we do then, we see that no one has reached that threshold. We eliminate cookie dough, and those 23 votes, we look at who those people ranked in their next highest ranking. So when we go to the next round, so the next one, we see those 23, 6 people put mint chocolate chip as their next, in their next ranking. We see that 5 people put pistachio in there, and we see that some people also voted for triple chocolate brownie in their next rank. And with the 6 people who put mint chocolate chip as their next favorite flavor, that got mint chocolate chip to the threshold, that magic number, so that's the first winner. But we still need to get 2 more winners because this is kind of mimicking our city council races, and so we're going to have 3 counselors. So again, we eliminate the option, the flavor with the least amount of votes, Java chip. This was one of my favorites, unfortunately. So my vote, if this were my ballot, we would be looking at who I ranked in my next favorite option. So next one. Okay, cool. So if I remember correctly, mine would have gone over to Marion Berry Cobbler. I was joined by 8 other voters when Java chip was eliminated. And we see that 8 people also voted for triple chocolate brownie, and that gets it over the threshold. But now we get that, as James was explaining, 52 votes puts it over the 45 that's needed. So that's when we have to go into that whole surplus, because if we didn't, the candidates wouldn't have the support would be uneven. So here in this app, it makes it look like it's a whole number. As James mentioned, it's a fraction of your vote. So I like to imagine it as just like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of everyone, all of those 52 votes, tiny bit of it. So 45 or 52 minus 45 is 7. So a fraction of everyone's vote, that total 7 needs to get redistributed back. And so we look at people's next option, and that brings us to our next slide. And so we see that this goes back to being at that 45. Those 4 votes get Marion Berry Cobbler up to the threshold, and we see that 3 people of those extra 7 votes would have gone to pistachio, but still that's not enough for pistachio to reach the threshold. So you all kind of already did a multi-winner election before you even got here, and if you didn't, we have more. We have so many top elections that we can do together, and it helps. I find that we can always do it together on a little screen too. But yeah, that's how we did it. Yeah, so now I think Leah's back to talk about where your ballot goes.
Okay, I have good news. After we just went through all of those charts and the math about what it takes to add it up, the good news is you all don't have to worry about that. What you get to worry about is you get your ballot in the mail, just like you always do. You're going to open it up. You're going to see that there are 2 ballot pages this year. One for general election, one just for ranked choice voting contest for the city of Portland. It's going to look like the ballots that you saw on the screen. filling in no more than 1 oval per column, no more than 1 oval per row, ranking up to 6 or as few as you want, or as few as 1, and then you put it in the mail, you bring it to the library, you put it in a drop box, or you bring it to one of the election office locations, and we got you from there. So Multnomah County Elections have been preparing to administer ranked choice contests since early 2023. And so we have software to be able to count all of these ballots, to do the tabulation, to produce results reports that will be given out to people in timely fashion. So when your ballot comes to us, it travels through a really similar path for what people are used to. It gets to our office and then enters into this beautiful choreography of moving from room to room, where we verify signatures, we sort the ballots and open them up with using bipartisan teams to make sure that it's transparent every step along the way. Then it goes into our counting room, where again, we have software that was specifically built for us and tested so many times. So many times. We tested this. And then we're going to run your ballots through that and tabulate them to produce these results. So you fill out your ballot, you give it to us, and we take it from there. And if you have questions along the way, like it says, you can always call us at the office at 503-988-VOTE, or stop by in person, or send us an email. We're here to help. Just like every election, and with ranked choice voting, we're ready for it too. Whether that means helping you figure out how to fill out the ballot, helping you figure out your registration, anything you need. We even have a team called the Voter Assistance Team that are like, I think of them like a band full of superheroes that will come to meet you at your location. If people have a disability or aren't able to come drop off their ballot or need a little extra help understanding what's on the ballot, we've got you. So just give us a call. But next I want to talk a little bit more in detail about results reports. So what this is going to look like is pretty similar to what you've gotten used to, which is that we're going to collect all the ballots and count them as we receive them, and then at 8 p.m. on election night, we will be releasing the first preliminary results reports for ranked choice voting contests. Just like any other contests, these are preliminary and unofficial. They're based on the ballots that we have received, processed, and counted in the moment. So they're a snapshot in time of who's in the lead and how they got there. Then we'll do our next results report by 6 p.m. the next day on Wednesday, and then the third one by 6 p.m. on Thursday. So we'll be giving you really regular updates of ranked choice voting contests so that you're constantly aware of any changes that may have occurred as we come to process more ballots. One thing I want to reiterate here is ranked choice voting feels different in a lot of ways, but the results reporting process is not that different. Again, we're going to propose preliminary results, and they may change as we receive and process more ballots. The thing that's going to look different is the reports. So similar to those bar charts that Francisco walked you through, that's similar to what they're going to look like on election night. And to see those reports, another important thing to remember is that Multnomah.Gov is going to be your sole source of information for City of Portland ranked choice voting contest results. So typically, the Oregon